Hello YouTube, my name is Venator, and I hope you all are having a wonderful Saturday. In today's video, we are back on Petits Pieds EU server with another Tyrannosaurus Rex adventure. And if you guys enjoy the video, please drop me a like or comment below, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button. That way you don't miss out on any awesome content. Jumping right into this grow, we are picking up this guy's story right after getting into the speedy phase. We are currently about 600 kilos and we are in East Lake on the hunt for food. And as always, I'm playing with my battle buddy, Sniper Dude. And as you can see, we are pretty low on food. And this is when we found a pack of packies. And these guys aren't the easiest to fight and bring down as a growing Rex. If they're very large at all, they can easily get a bone break on you, and then you are in deep trouble. Thankfully, these guys were still growing, just like we were, and we got two of them down pretty quick. But this third guy, well, he was gonna give us a good run for our money. And at this point, since we had had a little bit of friendly fire, Sniper accidentally hit me with a bite or two, and my stamina was nearly depleted. I had to disengage from this fight. I don't know how much stam this packy had, but we had gotten several hits on him, and he had gotten some on us. And once your stamina's out as a small Rex like this, that's your biggest weapon, so it wasn't worth continuing this fight. That packy ran off, and so we disengaged and we got our stamina back. Once our stamina had regened, we went and filled up on the two packies that we had killed early in that fight, and then we immediately headed over to Hollow Falls to fill up on our water. As you guys know, the east side of the map is probably my favorite spot to grow a Rex when I'm small like this. The abundance of things to scavenge and other small dinos growing on this side of the map make it a great spot. And the top of Hollow Falls here is always a safe drinking spot, and you never have to risk getting grabbed by a dino. But after we filled up, tragedy struck. I was leading the group and we were on our way back to East Lake, and I erroneously walked right through a bush that led off a cliff. And while I slid down it, my battle buddy Sniper Dude, well, he ran off it, and he went down hard, and it killed him. After spending some time in that bush healing up, I made my way back over to the East Lake area, where I heard some raptors talking near the lake. And so I tried to set up a nice little ambush. And even though I completely whiffed that, the raptors, not sure what they were thinking, well, they didn't leave the area. I was able to get one running by, and then the one that I originally missed ran right into my head, so that was 2 down pretty quick. And there was a third in the area. And apparently he didn't know what was going on because he just walked right out in front of me. But either way, I will take that. While 3 small raptors isn't the most food, all their organs is still diet. And getting your hunger and diets as high as possible is a Rex is basically all that matters when you're this size and growing. It's not a speed race to get to the biggest size you can as fast as possible. Getting there safely and alive is the name of the game. And as you can see, those raptors got me to about 75% food, so definitely worth it. After that, I headed back up to Hollow Falls to fill up my water. I saw a Tenno off in the distance, but since I was alone and not quite large enough to solo one, I waited in a bush for him to head back into the trees before I exposed myself to drink. After I was certain that the coast was clear, or at least as certain as I could be, I peeked out, that way I could fill up on my water. This little river is my go-to drinking spot. Or I guess river is a strong word, it's more of a stream. Only a very small Deinosuchus could possibly be in here, and at that size, they would have no chance of grabbing me. And after filling up my water here, I would log out and call it a day, because honestly, we had made pretty good progress, and one of my biggest rules of thumb is to not blow all the progress that you'd made by playing for too long. So the next day, when I got back on, my battle buddy sniper dude had gotten another Rex and made it all the way back to the fast phase. So we linked up in the south side of the East Lake area to continue our growing adventure together. And for those that are new to the game or don't play a lot of Rex, you can basically cancel out any noise you make from either a 2-call or a chat message by holding down your crush bite, your left mouse button, right when you send or hit the 2-call, and then you click R to cancel your crush. Using that trick, you can really limit your noise and stay silent. After that though, we were making our way back kind of towards the Hollow Falls area where we found a boar, and Sniper desperately needed this food, so I let him fill up since it was pretty much my fault that he had to start over in the first place. And after not really finding anything in the Hollow Falls area, we made our way all the way back over to the south side of East Lake at this gate. For those of you that don't know, this is a pretty popular spot. And we found a small Sarah who, well, he had some pretty good moves. Honestly, I have never been brake checked in this game, and that caught me completely off guard. I thought that this guy would do it again, and he had me down. I could not land any hits on this guy. He was making me look like a complete fool. But after that, he figured he better not press his luck, and so he tried to make an escape. And he was pretty good at dodging and diving into these bushes and breaking my line of sight. But eventually, he made a mistake. He went into this bush, and because of my third-person camera, I could tell that he never left it. So eventually, well, we would get him. It would just take some time and some help from Sniper Dude. And after filling up on this Sarah, it was back over to the Hollow Falls area, because we don't ever like to stray too far from our water source. And so we filled up, and that's when this Tenno ran right out in front of us. This guy, I think he could have easily outran me and gotten away. I don't know if he thought I was smaller than I was, or what was really going through his head, but he stopped to try and get a few kicks in, maybe thinking that he could bleed me out if I kept running after him. Unfortunately though, we were large enough to just outright pin him, and you only get lucky so many times, and eventually he ran right back into my crush bite. With our first big meal secured, this would really help fill our diets up and get our hunger to 100%, which would allow us to leave the East Lake area. And so we headed north and made our way all the way around North Lake, hitting all the zones we could to get those prime requirements done. And by the time we had made it to the west side of the lake, our hunger had dropped to half. So we headed to the very northern jungles. This is a very popular herbivore growing spot. So we wanted to see if we could find any small herbivores growing back here, feasting on all the bushes that spawn in the patrol zones. For those of you that don't know, this is a little honey hole where a lot of players like to try and grow. And it wasn't too terribly long after entering the jungle that our patience paid off. Heard some running just in front of us, and it turned out to be two subadult triceratops, completely unaware and growing in what they thought was a very safe corner of the map. And we put down this first one pretty quickly. Honestly, we thought he was alone until his buddy ran out from wherever he was hiding right behind us, thinking that maybe we would be happy with that first kill. Unfortunately, he was dead wrong about that, because we could use all the food we could get since we were in the prime growing stage. And man, even at subadult, look how much damage that little thrash did. It didn't get me to wounded, but that got me pretty close. Unfortunately for this guy, that was not going to dissuade us from securing another meal. He tried his best to hide in these bushes, but since there was two of us and one of him, there just really wasn't any escape for him. And with all of this food secured, this would allow us to grow in safety for about the next hour, or at least until our water was dangerously low. And at 4.2 tons, we were getting very close to a decent hunting size. So after we would eat these and sit and grow, we would eventually make our way all the way over and around to the west side of the map, where you guys know that I really like to hunt, none other than West Rail Pond. And by the time we got here, our hunger had dropped just under the halfway mark, so we could really use some food. And that's when I spotted this family of dibbles. So I sat and waited. I wanted to see if there was a croc in the pond, because that way, regardless if we get some food or not, at least we know we can fill up. I'm very keen on never drinking from West Rail, but if this dibble was able to come up and drink, that pretty much confirms that there's not a croc in there, because, well, as a Dino main, I can promise you no one is going to pass up a nice juicy dibble drinking from a very grabbable spot. So I made my way around the trees to try and set up an ambush. And when you're playing as a Rex, always remember that your third-person camera is significantly higher than the majority of other playables. So you can use this to your advantage and use the terrain to set up ambushes and block lines of sight like I do with this tree. It allows me to get close enough to activate my murder sprint and run out and engage these guys. And I got lucky that this first one thought that I was small enough that he could actually fight me. So I was able to get him right away with a full pin. And then the fight was on. The family returned to try and help their sole remaining parent. But unfortunately for these guys, I was just too big for them to handle. Had there been 2 full prime dibbles, it might have been a different story. But at 6.5 tons, I'm big enough to basically pin all of these guys, so there wasn't a lot they could do. Thankfully, after I got that last one, they all left because I was out of stamina. But they didn't need to know that. And now, Sniper and I had our food secured. And since those dibbles filled our hunger all the way back up, we made our way over to our favorite hunting puddle, Pygmy's Puddle. And it wasn't that long after being there, we had another dibble come up. I wonder if this guy was one of those from the pack that escaped. But he wasn't going to escape this time. He was just slow enough that I was able to catch him and land a pin. And not long after that, we had a group of Carnos show up. Sniper immediately went for the ambush kill, but unfortunately missed his crush bite, which sent them running towards me, and then I completely missed. I mean, that was just a bad miss on my part. But hey, you don't get them all. Thankfully though, there was another Carno in the group that I guess he just didn't see me. And since I went and got back in this bush, he was really only aware of Sniper Dude. And, you know, I don't know. He came creeping around right in front of me, just totally unaware that I was there. He was entirely focused on Sniper Dude, and, well, that would be his undoing. And I'll admit, that crush probably should have missed too. I was pretty surprised that that actually hit him. I didn't think he was going to sprint forward as quick as he did because, well, I thought he had no idea it was coming, but his reaction time was just a few milliseconds too slow. Anyway, that night, we had a very large stego come up to the puddle. Unfortunately for him though, he just wasn't quite big enough. And this meal, well, it would get us all the way to prime. I know that was a quick tab check, but we are at 9 tons. So this food would get us to 75%, and hopefully we would be well on our way to a prime killing machine. And after hitting prime, we made our way over to the highlands area to see if we could find any other big herbivores to hunt down and kill. And I found some tracks, and I was following them to see if they would lead us to a decent sized Herbie. They weren't the biggest tracks, so I figured it was something we could easily kill. I'm not a pro at tracking, so I couldn't tell if they were a stego or triceratops, but I could tell it was a herbivore and not a carnivore. So I activated ambush mode and made my way out. And that's when I saw those 2 stegos on the left, and I thought about going for them. But I wasn't quite sure if it was worth it, so I didn't just outright run at them. But I did change courses, and they eventually saw me, and it looked like they started to run. And then when I made a double look back, I saw a stego just standing there. Not sure what this guy was doing, but that's where the tracks were leading to. So I activated the murder sprint and didn't give this guy any chance to escape. If he was disconnected, that's unfortunate, but I don't give stegos any mercy. And if I could have ran down and killed this guy, I for sure would have. But Sniper, he was AFK, so I was on my own for now, and I didn't want to waste all of my stamina, so I just ended up letting this guy go. And since my food was really good, I figured I might as well use this body as bait. But it drew not a carnivore, another dibble. I mean, really, it didn't draw him here. He probably wasn't even coming. It was just bad luck for this dibble. He just happened to run right into my kill zone. And since I didn't want to give away that I was here, I drug his body into a bush. That way, any carnivores that come up would hopefully be less inclined to be wary of an ambush. And then as I was making my way back over to West Rail, I heard some pitter-patter of footsteps behind me. So I activated my stealth mode and turned around to see if I could spot him. And sure enough, another dibble just came running out right behind me. Talk about bad luck. Not much he could do, but hey, I will take the quick fill up. As I was headed back up to the puddle, I spotted this small stego. I think this guy was hoping that I didn't notice him, and honestly, that was the correct play. I was so close to him, he didn't really have any chance to run away, so his only option was to freeze and hope I didn't see him. But his skin stuck out like a sore thumb, and I just happened to notice him out of the corner of my eye. So I figured, you know what, I will take this mule to go and head up to the puddle. That way, if I don't see anything, I've at least got some backup food. And as you can see, the hunting at the puddle that time didn't really go that well. Our hunger was pretty low, so Sniper and I made our way to the other side of West Rail to the jungle, which is another popular spot for herbies to grow, where we found this very chunky subadult triceratops. And so this would get us both back up to at least half hunger, where then we would come to our final boss battle. 2 full prime Stegosaurus. And these guys, well, if you play Rex, you know these aren't the easiest fight. And I'll be honest, I'm not the most experienced Rex player by any means. So this fight, it's a long one. I'm going to include this entire fight, and I'm going to speed up some of the more boring and, well, sitting parts, because in a stego fight, you really only have one strategy, or at least I think is a Rex, and that is you have to get them both leg broken in the opening engagement. That way they can't run you down after they hit several hits on you and get a bleed. Like as you can see right there, my stuns, well, not my stuns, my crush bites kind of stunned me. At this point, Sniper and I aren't full prime. I think at this point we were around the 11.5 ton mark, so we were pretty big, but not quite big enough just to decimate these guys. Lucky for us, we got leg breaks on both of them early, so we could play the long game in this fight. And since we basically won the opening engagement of this fight by getting leg breaks on both, our strategy was to play it as safe as we could. Sniper kept them standing while I healed my bleed, and then once my bleed is healed, we can go back in and continue to try and get crush bites. But these Stego players, they were pretty experienced, and they knew how to play and defend each other very well. Because even with a leg break, their swings still hurt. So we had to be very careful. Like, see right there? That was a bad enter. I shouldn't have done that. That guy wrecked me. I mean, he got like 3 hits to my head and put me on wounded. Sniper got hit, but not nearly as bad. And since these guys were leg broken, Sniper could keep walking and keeping them up. Because unless they can sit down, they cannot heal their leg fractures. And then right there, Sniper went in and took several hits. So now we both had to heal our bleed. And I could tell at this point, this was going to be a long fight. And once Sniper's bleed had healed up, he stood back up and continued to harass them to keep them moving and not allowing them to sit down while I continued to heal. And since it was obvious that these stinky Sarahs weren't going to allow me to heal my bleed in peace, I had to get back up and move closer to Sniper Dude. I'm not sure what these guys' deal was or why they continued to harass me. I mean, it's not like they're going to kill me. My bleed wasn't that bad where I had to actually be sitting down. I think these guys were friends with the Stegos and just didn't want to see them die, so they were here to help them out and harass us in any way we could. Either way, it's really annoying, but it is what it is. I could tell that these guys actually didn't have any interest in fighting us because they only showed any interest the second I would sit down. They wouldn't come and actually try and get some bites. But right there, Sniper Dude took a couple hits, so I had to go back in and help him. My bleed wasn't going down very fast at this point, so I could stay walking around and make my way over and allow Sniper to sit down and heal his bleed, since now he was the one in bleed trouble. As you guys can see, these fights take a long time, and it's honestly only going to get even more difficult with the removal of traumatic thrombosis. For those of you that didn't see one of the most recent updates from Dondi, he said that this mutation has been removed. So basically, as a Rex, fighting Stegos like this will essentially not be possible, at least in my opinion. Now, I think traumatic will be an unlock of some way. I think after you entomb a few times and you have the bleed resistant mutation, but not sure how that's going to work. Anyway, I had to sit here and protect Sniper. That way he could at least heal his bleed. But these Sarahs were being a real pain in the behind. And as you guys noticed, that's Omni. Well, he was a friend of the Stegos, and he would not quit harassing us. He was doing nothing to attack the Stegos and doing everything to pester us. So finally, we got sick of it, and we put in a quick ticket, and he got archoned. And then, as basically universal justice or karma, a friendly Carno came out and ran that pesky Omni down and gave him exactly what he deserved. A quick and painful death. Or at least I hope. Couldn't really see him finish it, but hey. Got that annoying guy out of here so we could continue this fight. And yes, this is a pretty slow fight, but hey. This is how it goes, and this is the reality of Rex fighting. Especially when you're fighting Stegos. Some of these fights can be really long. I think this fight lasted almost an hour in its entirety. But as you guys have seen, I'm trying to speed up some of the more boring bits. And finally, we're at the last 5 minutes of this engagement. As you guys saw, we had 2 other Rexes roll up, and they were smaller. And so that just adds another layer of complexity to these fights. Not only were we being pestered by 2 Sarahs, an Omni, a Paki, then we also had the 2 Rexes roll up. So there's a lot that you have to keep track of in your head and watch out for while you're in these very dangerous engagements. You know, if we're being honest, Sniper and I should have probably just taken our L here and walked away a long time ago. But we spent so much time in this that now we needed the food. And honestly, you know, we haven't done a lot of Rex Stego 2v2s. You know, I'm sure you guys, some of you more experienced Rex players, have seen us make quite a few mistakes. And as you guys can see, I mean, we kind of keep going in and taking unnecessary hits and have to sit and heal the bleed. But since they're leg broken, there's really nothing other than standing there that they can do. You know, they could continuously try and walk after us, but then that splits them up. And, well, this fight was just a test of endurance and patience. And even though we will eventually bring this fight to its conclusion, I just wanted to show you guys the last raw 5 minutes of this fight. You know, I know it's a lot of running, turning, sitting, standing, and not the most action, but that's how these things go. And then finally, we got this guy down. That little head shake right there, that's why I do the little shake when they're low health, because it does more damage. And then I got cocky and took 3 very unnecessary swings. I thought this guy was lower health than he actually was, and that I thought he was going to go down a lot quicker. But as you can see, he took several crushes and was just landing swing after swing on Sniper and I got tired of it and said YOLO and just went in for bite after bite. I was gonna just see who could trade more damage and come out on top, and luckily for me, I came out on top, but just barely. I was able to get this guy down with the very last bit of blood I had left in the tank, so I immediately sat down. And unfortunately, I completely forgot that there was a prime dino in the pond. And he got me. I wasn't meaning to try and log out. I was trying to lay down and stand up. And I just, after such a long fight, a mental mistake cost me the Rex. But that's how it goes. So thank you guys for watching. We'll see you all next time, and happy hunting.